You guys, I woke up to the news that George Santos has been expelled from Congress. And the good news being that someone who was a liar and a cheat, someone who hurt people, someone who actually caused a homeless vet's dog to die. And that's the thing I'll never get rid of. That's the thing I'll never be able to take out of my brain for this whole saga. Is this guy was so much of a degenerate that he stole from a homeless vet who was trying to raise money for a disabled, the dog had cancer, and caused that dog to die. So just in the name of that sweet baby, yeah, I'm glad at least he got justice. But the sad takeaway from all of this is that there are people, more Republicans, and including Republican leadership, who voted to keep him in Congress. And they said things like, he who was without sin cast the first stone. Yeah. And I'm going to put a link to a Midas Touch video below so you can see some of the details. The more, I just want to talk about the broader scope of this, but there's details in it, and these details are going to make you want to slap somebody's mom, because this is some stupid crap. But I digress. I want to go back to, and if those of you are wondering, okay, I give Midas Touch a lot of grief sometimes, or Ben Miedas in particular, a lot of grief. And so some of you might be wondering, why do you support Midas Touch? Well, I support Midas Touch. Number one, no one else is doing what they're doing. They are an amazing team. KFA, Michael Popak, Jordy, Brett, Ben, all of these guys are amazing at what they do. I can't take that away from them. And I guess the way that I see it too is like, in a true democracy with true voices, it's never about personality. It's about goals. I don't have to be your bestie, and I don't have to agree with you on everything. For us to agree to protect everyone in our circle, to make sure everyone has rights, to ensure that everyone's treated fairly. I don't see this so much as tribal as I see this movement as goal-oriented, and it wants to protect everybody. So I don't care if, within the law, because of course, on the Democrat side, we'll expel a guy for a prank that was a little salacious, that went above and beyond the means. But they won't expel a guy who stole money from their fellow members. He might as well went and pickpocketed people's jackets while they were down in the well giving comments and speeches. But he who was without sin, I forget the representative's name again. I'll put the video below so you guys can check it out. Because that's what he actually said when asked, well, why did you vote to keep him? Well, he who was without sin. Seriously. That same man, I will guarantee it, is the same guy that if a black person sneezes too hard in a subway station and gets murdered up, he's like, law and order, still a cigar, jaywalk, black person speeding too fast or walking too slow, a Hispanic pregnant woman trying to cross the border for better opportunity, maybe illegally, but seeking asylum is not illegal. Any other person of color who they don't deem to be good folk, yeah, they look at somebody wrong, get killed. Death sentence, and yay, and the Fox News people go, yay, and everybody goes, yay, on the right. George Santos was an evil person who defrauded people who trusted in him. This isn't a he who was without sin. And even the Bible itself says you can forgive, but the person themselves has to repent. The person themselves has to admit they did wrong. You don't get to skate free. You can say, hey, I forgive a person, but they still have to suffer. Not suffer, that's the wrong word. They must atone for their actions. Otherwise, how do they learn? And how do they look away from those actions? That's why I'm not so much a proponent, and people can have whatever they want to say about it. I'm not a proponent of just handing out forgiveness like candy, just like I would not hand out loyalty or hand out love or care, personal, intimate love or care. I'm all for universal love, universal care, the love of humanity, the love of every man. But when it comes to romance, when it comes to intimacy, when it comes to friendship, when it comes to trust, those aren't things you just hand out. Those are things that you consider when you decide to marry a person. You don't marry the first person who says hi. You marry a person whose values coincide with yours, whose likes, like you can have different likes and dislikes. There are, lines in the sand, right? When it comes to all these small, the minutia of what makes relationships work. But we have our boundaries and we have our goals, we have our wants and we have our needs. All those things are important. And that's why when a person crosses a line, when they destroy your loyalty, I'm not saying you make them walk over coals, but there has to be an acknowledgement of wrongdoing. Otherwise, they continue to do it. Nothing's learned, and they'll keep perpetuating those same types of things with other people because no one's saying to them, hey, what you're doing is wrong. It's almost like you're rewarding the behavior. And there, like I said, there's a fine line. You don't break a person over the coals. At most that I would do if I felt I couldn't forgive a person is get out of that person's life and hope that one day they will come to a point of understanding how their behavior is harmful to other people, right? These are complicated topics, but you know what's not a complicated topic? A guy who steals from you, who lies to you pathologically. George Santos was a pathological liar who caused great harm. There was a guy, Maxwell, I think his name was, who talked about how not only did George Santos steal from him, he stole from his mother. George Santos stole from that dude's mother. He was a Republican. He stole from that dude's mother. They had to go and spend tens of thousands of dollars to get relief for that man stealing money from them. There were 400 victims. There are 23 credible indictments. And you know what I know what the right is going to say? You know what the right is going to say. Democrats always make it look, Democrats make it just look bad. Or what aboutism? What about what that Democrat did in 1971? In 1971, this Democrat, he done lied. And that makes what George Santos did okay? Because a Democrat lied once, it's okay for this guy to have 23 indictments and to have 400 victims? What? If this doesn't tell you that the Republican Party is a party that lacks morality, that lacks any type of decency, because of course all of us have made mistakes. You can't use that. I mean, that's like saying, finding a guy murdered somebody and bury him in the woods, and you're going, well, we all done made mistakes. Where's the line in the sand for these people for what's acceptable behavior? And these same people, if their children, I hope, came and they got arrested for stealing some stuff, they would say, it's not right to steal. And I would hope a child would say to a Republican who supported George Santos, well, you supported George Santos, what's the difference? And then knowing them, they'd be like, well, do as I say, not as I do. You're supposed to be an example. Aren't you always talking about groomers and examples and all this stuff about books that are turning kids gay and all this stuff? But you think it's okay to support lying grifters who are criminals and forgive? That's when forgiveness is weaponized. And I guess that's what sticks in my craw. Don't take an inherently beautiful, wonderful emotion, a wonderful act of love between two people, and weaponize it. You don't forgive criminal acts. And especially in a situation where George Santos is not even uttered. All he'll say is, well, that guy over there, he did something wrong too. He doesn't even say, I didn't do wrong, or here's why I did wrong. He excuses his wrong, and then he points at other people because that's all they got. When they're caught dead to rights, all they got is, well, somebody else did it. That doesn't fly in the good. You don't get to be a flesh-eating cannibal and then say, well, Dahmer did it. Yeah, Dahmer did do it. He went to jail, so are you. they have no moral compass. They have Mothers for Liberty, all these people always scream about morality and grooming and all this stuff. They don't have a leg to stand on. Everything they accuse other people of is basically a confession of things that they have done themselves. And George Santos is the poster child for that. And I'm saddened that we live in a current political climate where a person can do these types of things. And instead, because here's what we know. Franken got booted out. And we all know, you've talked to any Democrat, and there are many people who are really upset about the circumstance behind that. These guys can have a leader with 91 indictments. They can have a guy with 23 indictments. They can have a guy who is credibly accused of stealing money from other Republicans. And they don't have the moral fortitude to say that's wrong because it's about power for them, not ethics and or morality. They think this is a game. They're playing with people's lives and they think it's a game. Well, it's not a game. I'm glad it was expelled. Like I said, I'm going to put information below about the expulsion. I'll put a couple of links to some articles, the Midas Touch articles, and Midas Touch videos, as well as other information. But yeah, I just, they don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to morality. They don't have a leg to stand on anything. And the next time, Democrats, I'm looking at you. The next time there's a situation with an Al Franken type scenario, I want you to point to George Santos. I want you to point to the support they gave that man. I want you to point to Trump. And I want you to point to the support they gave that man. Because whatever they're going to try to trump up, no pun intended, about a Democrat, you best believe it's going to be some BS. And you best believe it won't be anything that rises to what Trump and Santos have done. So take a page from them if you must. And say, you know what? He who is without sin. And that's all I got to say about that. Anyway, a quick update on my bestie, Nicole, and we love you. There were so many people, I want you to know, so many people just sending their love and support about what's going on with you. Right now, I haven't heard back. I'm assuming that she's probably still out. Her husband will probably be reaching out to me later on, and I will update anyone who wants to know. You reach out to me. I'll also post an update in Substack. I love you guys. Keep the faith, keep pro-democracy, keep love and hope alive. We've got this. You see what the Republicans support. They don't have our best interests at heart. Vote for the pro-democracy team that believes in accountability. And that's all I got to say. Bye.